they're in the middle of it, you just have to know that they have to let this pass through them and accept the pain, accept the grieving period. It will be a period of time. Then on the other side, you know, you say, okay, now that this has come, I'm ready to see what's coming next.
You know, we got some, do I have time for the emails? Just hand them to me. Do you have them? We had some emails that people sent in, and one girl just said, you know, something like, my husband was so annoying, I wish he had gone out with Tori Spelling.
Can I have her number? Could I give her a call?
I mean, people are they're writing a lot of emails to us about this. You know, just slide them over here. Look at Bob. He's so cute.
Thank you. Thank you.
This one says, this is a very profound thing someone wrote. Go figure, a marriage based on sex will never last, yet most men cheat because they are unsatisfied sexually. Isn't that interesting irony of that? My husband left me while I was giving birth to our 4th child. Oh, I love that.
Nice.
Can't you wait till the placenta comes out, you moron?
My husband was sleeping with someone when I was in the hospital waiting to give birth to my daughter.
Escapism.
I mean, another one. I was 20 years old. I was married for 2 years. I had to have back surgery due to a bulging disc. While in the hospital recovering from my surgery, my husband brought me divorce papers to sign.
Yeah.
He said he didn't want to be married to a cripple for the rest of his life. She's married to a cripple. I've got news for him.
Yeah, an emotional cripple.
Who is this, Newt Gingrich? Didn't he do that?
Rush Limbaugh?
And then this one says, I love this is good. Oh, my favorite Barbie is the divorce Barbie. Does that exist?
Yeah, she's very hip and happening.
This guy says it has the most accessories. She comes with Ken's house, his boat, his car, and a wardrobe. And then this other person, Maddie, says, my divorce was a God creation. I discovered life after that. It was like dying and going to heaven.
It's true.
So you girls out there who are in the middle of this, take heart because it gets better.
It gets
I think you lose
better.
part of yourself in a marriage, particularly if you're supporting someone who's a CEO or in politics, because, and I certainly did that. You give all of yourself to him and to his career, and you lose a lot of yourself. And I think once you've emerged from this,
You get
it's
it back.
very painful.
Yes.
You get it back,
Just,
and you become the person
don't
that you were
concentrate
before.
on stupid things. Focus, this is my advice. Concentrate on what you have to do next, rather than all of the distractions.
The noise.
Going after his money, unless he's got Donald Trump money, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, well, I chose the child instead.
I know, you didn't even get a lot of money. I know that whole story. All right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Next, the lawyers weigh in, and you know what that's going to be? Expensive. Don't go away.
I was here fighting for custody. I think a mother's greatest fear is somebody trying to take her children, trying to take custody of her children, and that's what I was up against.
Do you think your ex-wife is behind spreading these?
What do you think?
I think it seems like these things came out pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, there's basically a court order about stuff like this that she's continually violating, but I'm not going to. So I'm not going to say.
Okay, that was David Hasselhoff giving us some insight into his messy divorce. So once the big D becomes a reality, how do you move forward? Joining me to discuss and answer that fairly simple question, Debbie Nigro, founding partner and chief executive girlfriend of First Wives World. M. Gary Newman, psychotherapist and author of The Truth About Cheating, and celebrity divorce lawyer, the fabulous Raoul Felder. Okay, so he had a very public divorce, Hasselhoff did. Yeah. Plus, we've seen that hideous drunken cheeseburger video.
Crawling on the floor, yes.
Yeah. But I mean, does it get any worse than a public divorce? Because I'm not sure that a public divorce is worse than a private divorce.
Well, it's a hell to whoever has it, but I mean, he was a mess before he ever got divorced. Probably an improvement after he got divorced. But there's no easy
So
way
it was
out.
a mess before, he'll be a mess after.
The words easy and divorce, Joy,
They don't go together.
Oxymoron, yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, go
also
ahead, Gary.
the real mess is for kids. Public divorces for children are
Yeah, that's the
terrible.
problem.
I mean, just square the problem, of divorce for kids.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking I was nobody when I got divorced, and it was a lonely thing. I would have liked to have an audience.
Divorce is a lonely sport for everybody.
It's a lonely sport.
Yeah, and you know what? When you have kids, it just goes on
Yeah.
forever.
And not only that, I mean, it happens at school and their playground, and then when they go to school and they distribute a parents list for play dates, you see father lives here, mother lives there,
Yeah.
and kids have to explain. It ain't
Well,
fun.
that
yeah.
doesn't always work when there's two different places the kids have to schlep around. Oh, they have two separate places to live. Gary, what's worse, do you think, being the person who gets dumped or the dumper?
Oh,
The
being the person
dumping.
against
Yeah.
the dumped, the dumped always, there's always such a sense of failure and personal failure. But when you get dumped, it really goes to the core. And then, of course, the problem is that, like we say, people are at their worst when they go through a divorce, and their children need them the most during that period. So it's a trickle-down effect to the kids. So they're like all over the place. They're just dealing with their own feelings, and now they have to be so attentive to what their children are feeling. It really is a recipe for disaster.
That is very true what he said, and it happened to me. It's like you're in the zone when you're in that crazy time of
Such
the
a zone.
divorce, and you have to give to the children. It's like you have nothing to give.
You know,
Sucks out your energy.
That's really a
divorce, yeah.
tough time.
I remember Friday nights being a divorced mother, and I was the dumper. And
You were the dumper.
And it didn't feel any better. And it was 10 years before I could come to terms with the decision I made that ruined so many people's lives. It was horrible. I had beautiful ex-in-laws and beautiful people in my family. Ex-husband was a lovely guy. But the Friday night alone at the diner.
Your ex-husband was a lovely guy?
Yeah, and still is a lovely
So
guy.
why'd you dump him?
I don't know. I was crazy back then. You know,
were
I
crazy.
mean, I think women make decisions based on emotions that they just make them.
Men too.
Men too. At the time, they think your life is not going where you're supposed to. You got to pull
Did
the
you have
plug.
somebody on the side, Debbie? Come on.
No, not at the time. Not
So
at the
you
time.
just said, I need my space? I've
No,
never
I
heard
just-
that. That's unusual to hear that.
No, I think when people aren't being honest enough that sometimes people get married and while they're going through it, they realize that maybe this is not where I should be going, and it's too many people are coming to the wedding already and too many presents,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and so you just go forward.
That's true.
So whatever the reason is, it doesn't feel a lot better. And sitting there being a mother alone with your own emotions on a Friday night when you'd rather either be with a guy on a date or doing something else, knowing you have to be this great mother for a kid, was a tough switch of personality. And I see a lot of mothers and diners and fathers now too, trying to keep the straight face when their lives are, in disarray.
Right. Gary, do you think it's better if the guy just dies?
Sure, I could answer that, sure, because nobody's at
I think
fault of the
so.
dog. Yeah.
Well, let me hear from the shrink and then the lawyer. Go ahead, Gary.
Sometimes we say that it would be so much better if a certain parent died, especially if a parent cheated, if a parent has done something that has taken them out of sainthood to the child. Sometimes we really think that, boy, if that person would have just passed away, they would have died a saint, and that would have been better for the self-esteem of the entire family. You don't wish it on anybody.
But I mean,
it is a
which is worse, the widowhood or being a divorcee? I guess that's where I was going with that.
Well, no, I think being a divorcee, I think there's a great deal of rejection and personal failure. Now, you cannot compare tragedy. Obviously, being a widow is terrible and painful, but it does not involve the personal rejection that comes through the divorce. Even if you're the dumper, you still feel like such a failure under those circumstances.
Okay.
That's painful.
Go ahead, Ron.
You know, Joy, the Navy did prepared a stress table. It had everything, having a fight with your boss, getting a traffic ticket. Number one was death of a loved one.
That's right.
Number
Of a
two,
spouse.
Of a spouse.
Yeah.
Number two, spouse, right. Number two was divorce. And when I said that to people, they said to me on occasion, if the person died, that's it. I had no role in it. There's no failure in death. There's a failure in divorce, though.
Now, you've done some very high-profile cases.
Yes.
You were involved with the Rudy Giuliani case
I
when he
represented the
divorced
mayor,
Donna
yes.
Hanover.
Yes.
And that was a pretty ugly time. I mean, he went on television and announced he was leaving her.
Well, that was distorted somewhat, and I don't
Really?
want to replay
We saw it on
that.
TV.
Yeah, but I don't want to replay that. The fact is...
I'm not going to believe what I saw on TV. I'm going to believe his lawyer.
No, well, you believe his lawyer in this case. I mean, this was a reaction to an announcement she made, but that's unimportant.
Okay.
The point is that when you have these public divorces, it's terrible because there's no aspect of your life that everybody has an opinion on divorce. At least two people who are living alone in the Bronx somewhere, nobody bothers them. They get divorced. If you're public, It's you
How
read
about,
about it in the paper.
how about the case you did with Mike Tyson?
That
did
was
he,
terrible.
Did he bite you?
No, he didn't bite me. In fact, I represented a lady who had a baby by him after that, and he only bites in the ring. And my
He made up the other day with
Yeah.
Holyfield on the Oprah
Well,
show.
sorta.
That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, beautiful and funny word. Yeah. The thing in that case is that I knew I was on the side of the Angels, and according to the public, a world champion, he was world champion at the time, could not do any wrong.
Yeah.
Robert Givens was a victim, and it took years and years before that really came out fully. And you had such a sense that that was wrong what was going on, and yet you lost. The press said, all the polls said she was the worst woman in the world, and if she wasn't, her mother was even worse, and all that business.
Yeah. Well, it's like, some people have the image in the public. We have to take a break, but we'll be back with my guests in a sec. Don't go away. Okay, we're back with my panel. Let me ask you something about the kids. Should kids go who are in the middle of a divorce? Gary, this is for you too. Gary Newman, our shrink at large here. The kids should go through some kind of counseling, I think, during the period when everybody's crazy. We talked about how you're distracted and you can't pay attention. So don't you think it should be mandatory that the family should go through some kind of family therapy?
The kids didn't choose it, and they're forced to deal with the ramifications of it. All of a sudden, they're splitting two households, going back and forth, delivering checks to mommy from dad.
And
it's horrible for the kids,
experiencing the depression and the loss and the abandonment.
And it goes on
the
forever.
same as the parents are. Am I right?
Very much so, yeah.
And it's true. But on another level, in a bad divorce case where you're fighting about custody, too many people monkey with the kids. Father's monkey, mother's monkey, people from the court monkey with them, the judges monkey with them. There's no way to win if there are kids in a divorce.
Yes, I think it should be mandatory. Gary, I really think that the balloon boy should start right now. Because that kid is going to have issues, and that's not even a divorce. But if you watch those people on Wife Swap, they're rageaholics, the parents, and these kids are told to lie. I think those kids are going to be in a lot of trouble if somebody doesn't intervene.
There's no doubt about it. Well, what we've done is a lot of states mandate parents to go to courses, and my program, Sandcastles, is mandated in many counties. Miami is one of them, where children ages 6 or 17 do go to groups with children their own age, and they talk about these issues as an automatic referral so that they can stop feeling guilty and pressured and messengers and have some role play for how they can speak up to their parents.
Okay.
What I've seen happen recently, and it's really horrible, the mean gene escalates as you get madder. The mean gene, as people don't get what they want from somebody on the other side. And they're like keeping the other parent from seeing their kids, using them in, as pawns for the weak.
I think that what makes people really nuts, and I just saw this play Oleana the other day.
No, but nuts is an operative word because they do crazy things when they get divorced. People do crazy things.
But I was watching.
Well, they also polarize.
Yes, they do. But I saw this play, and the play is about I have the power, and it's making you nuts. Now you have the power, and it's making me crazy. And I think that that's what happens in a divorce. One person has the power, and they use the children to control the power in the relationship.
Especially if the person has been left and their ego is really hurt and they have no self-esteem.
No, sometimes it's not even mean-spirited. When people are married, they really do try to work together, or they put up with somebody else's issues with the children, whether it's religion, school, whatever. When you get divorced, it begins to polarize, and each person says, hey, the kid's at my house, now I think the kid should stay up, eat candy, do whatever they want to do, and you can't tell me. Before, maybe I was feeding them your kind of food. I'm sorry?
Spite work. A lot of it is spite work.
And also getting the feeling that now I have control of my kids, which I didn't for all those years. So it's not always mean-spirited, but it comes across to the children very
But
mean-spirited.
it's also weapons. I mean, you fight, it's a war, so you fight
It's a
with whatever
war,
weapons
the
you
war
have.
of the roses.
Yeah. and-
So before we
yes.
go, one more quick thing. Which is more expensive? Which costs more?
funeral's a divorce.
A divorce case or murder?
Uh,
Or what if
That's a
it's
good
one and
question.
the same?
I had several cases of one and the same.
I
My
gotta go
guess is
quick,
divorce is
Ro.
much more expensive.
Divorce is more
but
expensive.
But it's better, yeah. You live
Okay.
past it, yeah.
Thanks very much. Thanks to all my fantastic guests for joining me tonight. And thank you all for watching. Good night, everybody.